What would you do if someone offered you $1 million just to calm down a dog? That's exactly what happened. A billionaire, famous, powerful, the kind of man who owned 5 homes and flew across cities just for lunch, stood in front of a room full of experts and said something that shocked everyone. I'll give $1 million to anyone who can calm my dog. The cameras were already rolling. The media ate it up like fire. Headlines exploded. Billionaire's dog too wild to tame. $1 million challenge. Man versus beast. But this wasn't a joke. Inside a private luxury penthouse in the center of the city, a massive German shepherd paced back and forth behind a glass wall. His name was Titan. He was big, strong, and angry, or maybe scared. It was hard to tell. He growled at anyone who came too close. He had destroyed expensive furniture, bitten 3 handlers, and even sent 1 trainer to the hospital. Still, the billionaire wouldn't give up on him. This dog had been with him for 3 years, a gift from his ex-wife, or maybe a curse. Either way, Titan had become more than just a problem. He had become a mirror, a reflection of something deeper. Something broken. The billionaire had tried everything. He brought in dog trainers from across the world, hired the best veterinarians, even flew in a pet psychic from another continent. Nothing worked. The dog wouldn't let anyone in, not physically, not emotionally. That's when he lost it. In the middle of a meeting. After Titan's barking interrupted yet another important call, the billionaire slammed his phone down and said, loud enough for everyone to hear, $1 million. I'll pay $1 million to anyone who can make him stop. The news spread like wildfire. Over the next few days, dozens of people showed up: trainers, healers, influencers, even a man who claimed to speak dog. But Titan didn't care about titles or techniques. Every attempt ended the same: barking, growling, retreating. Then, on the 3rd day, something strange happened. While another failed expert packed up his things, a small girl walked into the room. She looked around 12. She wore soft, simple clothes and large headphones. Her eyes stayed low and she didn't speak. At first, the guards tried to stop her. She's not on the list, someone said. But her mother stepped forward. Please, she said. Just let her try. She's not here for the money. The billionaire didn't even look up at first. He was too tired, too disappointed. It's dangerous, he muttered. The dog is unpredictable. She knows, the mother replied. She's like him. That made the billionaire pause. He looked at the girl again, really looked. There was something quiet about her. Not shy, just still. Like she saw things others didn't. Without a word, the girl walked over to the glass. Titan saw her immediately. He stood up, growled once, but didn't bark. She didn't flinch. She didn't even blink. Instead, she sat down on the floor, legs crossed, hands in her lap. And she waited. For a long time, nothing happened. No sound. No movement. People in the room started to whisper. One guard leaned in and said, "Should we pull her back?" "No," the billionaire said, his voice soft now. "Wait," Titan tilted his head. Then he slowly walked closer to the glass. He didn't growl, he didn't bark, he just looked at her. She didn't speak. She didn't reach out. She just sat there, breathing softly, her gaze somewhere near the floor. Then, for the first time in years, the dog lay down. No one said a word. The silence in the room was louder than any shout. The billionaire stood up slowly, not sure if what he saw was real. "How did she do that?" he whispered. Her mother smiled. "She didn't try to control him. She didn't try to fix him. She just let him be." The billionaire stared through the glass. The dog's breathing was slow, calm. His eyes stayed on the girl. Not fearful. Not angry. Curious. Almost. Trusting. "She's autistic," her mother said gently. "She knows what it feels like to be misunderstood." The billionaire's mouth went dry. He couldn't look away. In a room full of noise, power, and experts, it was the silent one, the girl who barely spoke, who had reached the heart of the animal no one else could touch. And that's when the real story began. Not the one about a man with too much money. and a wild dog, but the story of how someone the world overlooked became the only one who truly understood. The next morning, the billionaire did something he hadn't done in years. He canceled all his meetings. He sat in the quiet of his office, looking out at the city. Usually, the view from the top gave him a sense of control, but not today. Today, he felt something else. Confused, curious, humbled. That girl, who was she? He didn't even know her name. Just that she had walked into his world like a whisper and done what no one else could. Without force, without fear. Just by being still, he asked his assistant to find her. Not to pay her, not to reward her. He just wanted to understand. A few hours later, the girl returned with her mother. She stood near the door, hands clasped tightly, headphones around her neck, eyes scanning the floor. The billionaire noticed how she avoided eye contact, how her fingers moved in small patterns near her leg. She wasn't like other kids. But maybe that was the point. Do you want to see him again? He asked gently. She nodded once. They walked into the room where Titan was waiting. The dog was pacing again, but slower this time. When he saw her, he stopped. His body lowered just slightly, his tail still, but not tucked. She sat again in the same spot. No words, no movement, just quiet. And once again, Titan lay down. The billionaire sat beside her, just far enough not to interrupt whatever connection they had. How do you do it? He asked softly. The girl didn't answer at first. Then she said, I listen. But you don't talk to him. I don't need to. He's already talking. The billionaire looked confused. I don't hear anything. You're not supposed to, she said. You have to feel it. Her mother stepped in to explain. She's sensitive to things most people ignore. Breathing, body tension, movement. She doesn't process things the way others do, but she sees more than most ever will. For the first time, the billionaire didn't feel powerful. He felt small. In front of his quiet girl, he realized how much he had missed, how much he had misunderstood. He turned to her again. Would you come back tomorrow? Titan seems to feel safe with you. The girl nodded, and so she did. Every afternoon after school, she returned. She never touched Titan. She never forced a connection. She simply sat, sometimes reading, sometimes humming to herself, sometimes just watching. And slowly, Titan changed. The growling stopped. The pacing slowed. He began to sleep near the glass. When she was there, his head resting on his paws, his breath calm and steady, the billionaire started joining them more often. Not to fix anything, just to be part of it. Some days he spoke with the girl's mother. Some days he sat in silence. But every day he watched and learned. He saw how the girl never tried to make Titan do anything. She allowed him to choose. And in that freedom, the dog found trust. One afternoon, the billionaire asked her, Why do you think he's like this? She thought for a moment and said, Because someone hurt him. And no one listened after that. He nodded slowly. Do you ever feel that way too? The girl's eyes stayed low. All the time. There was a silence between them, deeper than words. That night, the billionaire called his ex-wife. He hadn't spoken to her in months, maybe years. He told her about the girl. What she had done, what she had taught him. At first, his ex didn't believe him. Then she said, Maybe you're finally starting to understand. The next day, something different happened. When the girl entered the room, Titan stood up immediately. He walked toward the glass before she even sat down. His ears were forward. His tail wagged slow and low, but steady. She smiled slightly. He's ready, she said quietly. For what? The billionaire asked. To choose. They opened the enclosure gate for the first time in 3 years. Titan didn't rush out. He didn't panic. He stepped forward once, then paused. Then again. He walked past the girl and stopped in front of the billionaire and sat. The billionaire froze. He didn't move. Didn't breathe. Then slowly he lowered his hand. Titan leaned forward and pressed his head gently into the billionaire's palm. He had been waiting for this moment for years. But it didn't come from commands or control. It came from patience. It came from trust. And it started with a girl who never said much, but understood everything that needed to be felt. After that moment when the dog sat beside him and leaned into his hand, something changed inside the billionaire. It was small at first, a quiet shift, but he felt it. He didn't speak. Neither did the girl. But when she looked at him, even just for a second, there was understanding in her eyes. A kind of calm he didn't recognize. Not the calm that came from success or silence. It was the calm of being seen exactly as you are and still being accepted. That evening, the billionaire didn't take any calls. He didn't check the markets. He didn't review contracts. Instead, he stood in front of the window, watching. The dog slept near the open enclosure, his breathing steady. The dog could have gone back in. He didn't. He chose to stay close. The next day, the girl came again, as she had every day. This time, she didn't sit on the floor. She sat on the couch beside the billionaire, still quiet, still calm. Titan got up and stretched, walked toward them, and lay down at her feet. The billionaire turned to her. He trusts you. She shrugged, then said, because I don't make him do anything. I just let him be. He nodded. I don't know how to do that. She looked at him, not with judgment, but with honesty. That's why he never trusted you before. You were always trying to fix him, and he doesn't want to be fixed. He wants to be safe. The billionaire swallowed hard. Those words didn't just apply to the dog. They felt aimed at something much deeper inside him, something he hadn't let anyone touch in a long time. He leaned forward, elbows on his knees, and whispered, what if I don't know how to make someone feel safe? The girl was quiet for a moment, then said, you don't need to know. You just need to stop trying so hard. Be still, be kind, wait. That was her way. Still, kind, patient. He thought about his own life. It had been the opposite. Fast, loud, controlling. Every room he entered, he dominated. Every conversation, he led. Every problem he solved with money, strategy, or power. None of that had worked with the dog. None of that had worked with his daughter either. His ex-wife used to say, you never listen. You just plan what you're going to say next. He hadn't understood then. He did now. That afternoon, the girl handed him a notebook. What's this? He asked. A journal, she said. He opened it. Inside were pages filled with short notes, observations, drawings of Titan. One page said, when Titan tucks his tail and looks away, it means he's scared. Don't follow, just wait. Another said, he listens with his body, not his ears. And this one, if he looks at you, then looks away, he wants connection but doesn't feel ready yet. Give him space. The handwriting was small and neat. Each word careful, like she had taken her time. Every page felt like a map, not just of the dog's behavior, but of the way she saw the world. The billionaire felt his throat tighten. How do you notice all these things? He asked. She didn't look at him, because I have to. He waited. When I was little, people didn't understand me. They talked too fast, asked too many questions, got upset when I didn't answer. So I learned to watch instead. I notice small things, breathing, eyes, feet, hands. That's how I know how someone feels. That's how I know when to speak ... and when not to. The billionaire nodded slowly. It wasn't just that she noticed the dog. She understood what it meant. To be misunderstood. To be different. To be treated like a puzzle people wanted to solve instead of a person they wanted to know. He remembered how he used to ask his daughter the same question over and over again. Why can't you just be normal? Now he hated himself for it. He looked at the girl sitting beside him. You know, he said softly, I think I needed someone like you a long time ago. She looked at him, then nodded once. So did he. Titan's tail thumped once on the carpet. Just once, but enough. Later. That week, the girl didn't show up one afternoon. She had a school event. The billionaire sat alone on the couch. He waited, not expecting anything, but Titan walked over and sat down beside him anyway. No barking. No growling. Just presence. The billionaire didn't try to pet him. He didn't speak. He just sat still. For the first time in his life, he understood that this quiet moment, this fragile trust was more valuable than any deal he had ever made, and he owed it all to a girl who barely spoke, yet had taught him the most powerful language of all, the language of stillness. The next morning, the billionaire stood by the window again, but it felt different now. For years, this view had made him feel powerful. The buildings below looked small, like he could move them if he wanted. That's how he lived, controlling everything, everyone. But today, something felt softer inside him. He turned around and looked at the empty dog room. Titan wasn't in his enclosure. He was lying in the sun near the couch, breathing slowly, eyes half closed. Peaceful, calm. The billionaire sat on the edge of the couch, quiet, watching him. That was the first time he realized this wasn't about the dog anymore. This was about himself. Later that day, he picked up his phone, paused for a long time, then finally dialed a number he hadn't used in almost a year. His ex-wife answered on the third ring. There was silence. Then she said, "Why are you calling?" "I need to ask about our daughter," he said. "Not for anything bad. I just ... I want to see her. I think ... she could help me." "She's in school," she replied. "She has routines, structure. You can't just walk in and expect." "No," he interrupted, gently this time. "I'm not asking you to change anything. I just want to listen. That's all." The line went quiet. "I'll ask her if she wants to talk to you," she said. "No promises." He nodded, though she couldn't see it. That night, his phone buzzed. A small voice came through. "Hi." His heart nearly stopped. "Hi," he said. "Thank you for calling. Mom said something happened with Titan. Is he okay?" "He's different now, better, but I think I'm the one who's changing." She didn't reply at first, then quietly, "That's good. Can I ask you something?" "Okay." "Why do you think Titan trusted that girl?" The girl on the phone paused. "Because she's like him." "How?" "She doesn't push. She listens. She notices little things. People like that don't scare him, because they understand." He swallowed hard. "Did I ever scare you?" There was a long silence. "Sometimes," she said finally. "Not because you yelled, but because you never saw me. You always looked." At what I couldn't do, what I didn't say, her words cut deep. Not in anger, but in truth. "I'm sorry," he whispered. "I didn't know how to see you." "I know," she replied. "But maybe you're learning now." He didn't know what to say to that. For once in his life, he had no plan, no strategy. Just honesty. "Would you ever want to visit?" "You don't have to." "I just ... I'd like to see you." There was a pause. Then a quiet, "Okay, I miss him, and I miss you too." The call ended, but the weight of her voice stayed with him long. Into the night. 3 days later, she arrived. She had grown taller since he'd last seen her. Same soft brown hair. Same quiet strength in her eyes, but there was a wall between them. Not made of anger, made of caution. She didn't hug him. Didn't speak much. Just asked, "Where is he?" He led her to the room. Titan saw her and didn't bark. Didn't growl. He just stood up and stared. Then, slowly, he walked over to her. She crouched down, not reaching out, just waiting. Titan sniffed the air, took one step, then another. And then he leaned his head against her chest. The billionaire stood frozen. His daughter ran her hand gently down the dog's neck. "He remembers me," she whispered. The billionaire could hardly speak. "How ... how can you tell?" "Because he came to me. And he stayed." They sat there for a long time. He didn't rush it, didn't interrupt. When she finally looked up, she said something he wasn't ready for. "He wants to trust you too." "But he's still scared." He nodded. "I know." You can't make him love you. You just have to keep showing up. That night, the three of them sat together in silence, the dog, the girl, the man. No money changed hands. No deals were made. Just presence. It was the first time he felt like he belonged in his own home. He thought he was doing everything right. Every day. The billionaire sat quietly with Titan. He didn't talk too much. He didn't move too fast. He tried to copy what the girl had done. Sit, wait, breathe. But it didn't feel the same. One afternoon, while his daughter was watching from the other side of the room, he sat beside the dog, careful not to make sudden movements. Titan stayed calm but distant. No growling, no barking, just stillness. It felt like a small win. I think he's getting used to me, the billionaire said. His daughter tilted her head, her face calm but serious. You're doing it wrong, she said softly. He looked at her, confused. I'm sitting quietly, just like you, but you're not here, she replied. You're thinking about what you should do next. You're performing. He frowned. I'm trying. I know. But that's the problem. You're trying to control how he feels. She sat down beside him and pointed toward Titan, who is now lying with his back to them. He knows. He can tell when someone's pretending to be calm. The billionaire fell silent. Her words hit harder than he expected. How do you know that? He asked. She shrugged. Because I do it too. When I'm in a place with too many people, too much noise, I freeze. And when someone forces me to talk, I get worse. But when someone just sits with me and doesn't expect anything, I can breathe. He looked at her for a long time. I did that to you, didn't I? She didn't answer. She didn't need to. He realized how often he had pushed, tried to fix her, tried to change the way she interacted with the world. Not because he didn't care, but because he didn't understand. He thought love meant helping someone become better. But now he was learning that sometimes love just means letting someone be the next day. He didn't try so hard. He sat with Titan again. But this time, he didn't think about the next step. He didn't watch the clock. He just sat and breathed and let himself be uncomfortable with the silence. Titan didn't come closer, but he didn't move away either. It was enough. His daughter began showing up more regularly, not just to see the dog, but to see her father. At first, their conversations were short, simple, what she had for lunch, what book she was reading. But soon she began to open up. I used to think you didn't like me, she said one afternoon. He felt something catch in his chest. Why? Because you always looked at me like I was a problem you couldn't solve. He closed his eyes. I didn't know how to help you, he whispered. I thought if I just tried harder, maybe you'd feel better. I didn't need to feel better, she said. I just needed to feel safe. The words hung in the air. She was teaching him, just like Titan had been, that trust isn't built by fixing things. It's built by showing up day after day, even when nothing changes. Especially when nothing changes. That week, something new happened. Titan started following him around the apartment. Not close. Not always. But enough to feel like the dog was no longer trapped in fear. He was curious now, watching, learning. Billionaire stopped taking business calls during those hours. He turned off his phone. Canceled meetings. He began cooking simple meals at home just so the apartment would smell like something real. Not expensive air fresheners or polished wood. He asked his daughter if she'd like to stay for dinner. She nodded. They sat at the table. She picked. Ate her food quiet as always. But then, halfway through, she said, He's almost ready. Titan, she nodded, to trust you. The billionaire smiled. How can you tell? Because when you leave the room, he gets up. He looks for you. That means he misses you. Those words, small and simple, were more valuable to him than anything he'd ever heard in a boardroom. That night, Titan came and sat beside him again. No leash. No commands. Just choice. And for the first time in years, the billionaire didn't feel like he was in charge. He felt like he was part of something. He didn't know what to call it yet. But he knew this. Whatever it was, it mattered more than anything else he'd ever owned. And this time, he wasn't going to lose it by trying to control it. He was going to earn it by learning to listen. It happened on a Monday morning. Cold, quiet, and gray. The kind of day that used to begin with 100 emails and end with 3 deals closed before dinner. But not anymore. Now, the billionaire's mornings started slowly. A quiet breakfast, a walk past Titan's room, a glance at the drawing his daughter had taped on the wall, a sketch of the 3 of them sitting on the floor together with the words, "Don't rush trust." He looked at that drawing every day. That morning when his daughter arrived, she didn't sit in her usual spot. She stood in front of him, arms crossed, her voice steady but soft. "He's ready." The billionaire blinked. Ready for what? To come out, fully, without the enclosure, without the safety gate. His heart jumped. "Are you sure?" "No," she said. "But I think that's the point." They prepared everything. They cleared the room of loud objects, turned off the buzz of electronics, closed the blinds to block sharp sunlight, even removed any strong smells. All of it to create one thing, calm. His daughter explained the rules. "We're not going to call him, not going to bribe him. We'll open the door. And wait, what if he doesn't come out? Then we let him stay where he feels safe. And if he panics, we stay still. He needs to choose us." It was the hardest thing he'd ever agreed to, because his whole life had been about action, about making things happen. But today, it wasn't about doing. It was about being. The moment the enclosure door opened, Titan froze. One paw forward, one step back. The billionaire sat across the room next to his daughter, hands folded in his lap. He could feel his heart pounding. Every instinct screamed to speak, to help, to move. But he didn't. Single quotes T. Minutes passed. Titan stepped forward, then back, then forward again. He's arguing with himself. His daughter whispered. The billionaire nodded. "I know that feeling." Then, slowly, cautiously, the dog stepped fully out. He didn't look at them. He walked the edges of the room, smelling corners, sniffing under the table, noticing everything. But eventually, he turned and walked toward them. The billionaire's breath caught in his throat. "Don't look at him," she said softly. Let him feel invisible. It went against everything he knew. In his world, eye contact meant confidence, power, control. But here, it meant danger, pressure, threat. So he looked at the floor. He felt Titan's paws come closer, heard the soft taps on the wood, then a pause, and warmth. Titan sat beside him, not touching, not leaning, just sitting there. But that small act felt like a miracle. The billionaire didn't move, didn't breathe too hard. Then he felt it. A soft nudge against his hand. Titan had leaned in. Very gently, he reached out and touched the dog's back. No growl. No flinch. The tail wagged. Once, slowly. His daughter smiled. "He's choosing you." They sat that way for what felt like forever. Quiet, still, no words. No expectations. Just presence. Later that day, something unexpected happened. The billionaire's phone rang. An urgent call from his business partner. A major deal he'd been working on for months had just collapsed. The company he was negotiating with had pulled out at the last second. Millions lost. Reputation bruised. The old version of him would have panicked, rage, started planning counterattacks. Instead, he hung up the phone and sat down on the floor beside Titan. The dog came to him almost immediately. No hesitation. No demand for treats. No leash. Just trust. The billionaire rubbed behind Titan's ears. "You came to me," he whispered. Titan rested his head gently on the man's shoulder. That simple gesture, quiet, unspoken, meant more than any contract he'd ever signed. That evening, he called his daughter. "Can I ask you something?" He said, "Okay. How did you know?" That he just needed someone to understand him? There was a long pause, because that's what I needed too, she said. All those years when you were trying to fix me, I thought maybe something was wrong with me, but when Mom stopped trying to change me, ... I could finally breathe. He closed his eyes. I'm sorry. I didn't understand back then. I know, but you do now. I wish I had seen you sooner. I think Titan helped you see. He nodded, though she couldn't see it. He taught me how to listen, he said. Not with your ears, she replied. With your heart. The next morning, Titan walked freely around the house. He stopped at windows, sat in doorways, watched the world move, but didn't hide from it anymore. The billionaire stood nearby, not giving commands, not trying to lead, ... just present. He finally understood what it meant. To let someone come to you, not because they had to, but because they wanted to. And that made all the difference. 6 months had passed since the door opened and Titan walked out. 6 months since. A billionaire stopped trying to fix things and started trying to feel. It wasn't a sudden change. Not something that could be captured in a headline. But it was real, quiet, lasting. Like the way Titan now slept on the rug beside his bed every night, or the way his daughter laughed more softly, not loudly, but enough to fill the house with a kind of warmth he hadn't known was missing. One afternoon, he sat on the floor of his living room, Titan's head resting in his lap, while his daughter worked on a puzzle beside him. He looked around at the space that used to feel cold and empty even when filled with expensive furniture. Now it felt like home, and that's when the idea came. A thought so clear, so strong it made his chest ache. What if this wasn't just for them? What if there were other children like his daughter, other dogs like Titan who were waiting to be understood? So he made a decision. He called his legal team, sold part of his company, stepped away from daily operations. His business. Partners thought he was having a crisis, but he wasn't breaking down. He was waking up. He used the money to create something new, a foundation for children with autism and rescue dogs with trauma. A place where different kinds of minds can meet, where connection came before correction. His daughter became the youngest consultant on the project. She helped design the space, made sure it was quiet, soft, welcoming, no bright lights, no loud bells, no pressure to speak, just room to be. Titan became the first therapy dog. The day the center opened, the billionaire stood at the door and watched the first group arrive, nervous children holding tight to their parents, and gentle rescue dogs unsure of where they were. He saw a boy about 8 years old sit cross-legged on the floor, a timid golden retriever curled up beside him. Neither of them spoke. Neither of them moved, but slowly, together, they started to relax. His daughter stood beside him, watching. It's perfect, she said. He looked down at her. You made it possible. She shook her head. Titan did. He taught you how to wait. They walked through the center together. The walls weren't covered in posters or slogans, just soft art, quiet corners, and open spaces. The kind of place where people weren't expected to be normal. They could just be themselves. No pretending here, his daughter said. That's the best part. He smiled, squeezing her hand. That night, they sat in the garden behind the center. Titan stretched out beside them, eyes closed, tail thumping. Slowly, every now and then, the billionaire leaned back, watching the stars. I used to think success meant control, he said. Power, making things happen. She tilted her head. What does it mean now? He thought for a while. Now. I think it means knowing someone could leave but choosing to stay. Could hide but choosing to open up. Could be hurt but choosing to trust. She nodded. That's what I feel with Titan. Me too, he said quietly. Later, back at home, he sat in his office where the journey had begun, where he once stood behind glass, unable to reach a dog who needed more than money could buy. Titan lay beside him now. Completely at peace. He opened a notebook one he had started the day Titan first touched his hand. And it were small things, Notes from his daughter, things she'd said, things the dog had done, lessons he never learned in boardrooms dot on the last page. He wrote, "You cannot buy love. You cannot force trust. But if you show up, if you care enough to understand, even the most guarded heart will begin to open." His phone buzzed. A message from his daughter. "Titan's doing great with the new kids. One of them brushed his tail today. No growling, you should be proud. He trusts you now." He smiled and wrote back, "I'm proud of both of you. You taught me the things no teacher or dollar ever could. Love you, Dad. Love you more than you know." As he put the phone down, Titan stirred, walked over, and rested his head on the man's foot. A simple gesture, but full of everything that mattered. He reached down, stroked the dog's soft fur, and whispered, "Thank you." Not just for trusting him, but for changing him. That night, as the city lights blinked in the distance, the billionaire finally understood. He hadn't lost his edge. He had found his heart. And in the quiet company of a girl who spoke little and a dog who spoke none, he discovered the loudest truth of all.